Strong communities are born out of individuals being their best selves. This is a quote from Leanne Simpson. And to get this conversation started, I want to talk about joy. Black joy doesn't have to be isolated, and it can stem from the creativity that flows through the Black community. This is a quote from Larissa Odd.
Actually, I had to relearn what joy was. No one taught me joy. No one taught me joyfulness. No one taught me happiness. Growing up as a trans youth in a patriarchal household, Black patriarchal household with young parents. My parents were 16 when they had me. So it was very difficult, and I had to watch them go through all of their trials and tribulations as young adults, and it wasn't as, there was no joy, especially me being outwardly different. I knew that I was a woman from the moment I could sit and pee and get beat because I was sitting and peeing. So going through all of that trauma and holding on to that into my 20s and 30s, and even in the beginning of my 40s, I had to restructure how I look at my life, how I look at myself, and how I love. Because no one taught me how to love. I didn't know what love was. I thought love was being abused. I thought love was being ignored. So relearning to love myself as a trans woman, relearning to love myself as a Black woman, relearning to shed all of the negative things that people have spoken into my life, and I held on tight to them because there were people that were supposed to love me and take care of me and protect me, and didn't have that at a very young age. So yeah, I think like at 45, I had to restructure how I look at myself, restructure how I feel about myself, which was a hurtful, painful journey of a process, because you go to therapy and you meet with white therapists and they're saying, well, talk to your parents and tell them what they did to you. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go home and say that's what my man told me to do. My daddy was like, you are selfish. Why would you bring that up? You haven't gotten over that. And I was like, I'm bad. It's my fault all over again. So I had to go home and I started reading Iyanla Vanzant books. And I had to, come out of the basement of my life into some sunshine and learn to radically love everything about myself without the weave, the wig, the makeup, the fancy clothes, everything. And now I've learned to love my ingrown toenail, the cellulite on the back of my legs, my fat stomach. I've learned to really love everything about myself, and that's what I bring into the room now when I step into the room. Like you said earlier, I bring this warmth and this love and compassion because I've learned to have that for myself. And so I feel like me having that for myself, I can vibrate that feeling to other people when I walk into the room.
So much of what you said resonated for me because I grew up without joy. I grew up in isolation. And I've had my son young. He's a little queer, disabled boy. You see the difference in him as soon as you see him. And I've wanted nothing more than joy. I knew life was going to be hard because I had him at 17. And I'm growing myself, trying to grow him in a world where we don't have nothing. We don't have support. We don't got money. We don't got nothing. But I didn't want him to feel that hardship. I didn't want that on his shoulders. So I've poured nothing but joy into him. And you see it, he gets to be as queer as he wants to be. He gets to explore himself. He gets to be a free Black boy, where he doesn't get to be in this world. So you sharing that really just brought him to mind, actually. And he is part of where I find joy, I get to live through him a childhood I didn't have. I was really isolated. I didn't live with my parents. They were always working. I lived with family members, and I was really isolated, really scapegoat in that family. So there wasn't much joy. I found joy in friendships when I was a child. I found joy in friendships, and I was predominantly friends with other Black girls, other Black women. So that's still where I found my joy today. Like coming to this retreat yesterday at the dinner, I just felt so I don't know if I can even find the description for it. I've been so wound up tight and stressed all these days, but I just felt so good with women that I just met most, for most of, this trip. I just met half of y'all, but it just felt so communal. It felt love. Like, it just felt like home.
Yes.
It felt like home.
I have to say, because I born and raised in California, California is very white, and they try to erase your blackness. I was born in the 70s. And in the 70s, so there's this movie called Picket Fences, where you see the girl in the movie and she wants the blue contacts and she wants the blonde hair, because you are taught to assimilate to whiteness. That was my life. We always lived in neighborhoods where there were no black people. We would be the only black family, and people would come knock on the door. Hey, our lawnmower is missing. Do you have it? It was like that. So you learn to hate blackness because everything around you hates black people and blackness. So I definitely understand you on that. And when you come on a trip with black people, to me, it feels like a family reunion. That's what it feels. It just feels like family. It feels safe. It feels warm, and it feels like I can be myself.
Even, in a space where it was a table, 12 of us, and you're to tone down. We're belly laughing from the roots of our gut, and we are loud, and we are vibrant, and we are enjoying each other. And I never felt like I had to shrink in that space. I never felt like I didn't belong. It was like, oh, I'm just going to be naturally and freely me. And yeah, it's what it feels like.
I just love when we were singing at the table. We were singing every song that came on the radio.
They don't go for us.
So we talked about joy. Let's talk about pride. I will not have my life narrowed down. I will not bow down to somebody else's whims or somebody else's ignorance. This is a quote from Alice Walker.
It's starting intergenerational for me. Again, with my son, I get to start from a blank slate, and it's so good to pour into him all the things that I didn't have, along with all the things I did have. I won't say it was horrible. I got some great opportunities, but all the things I didn't have, like blackness. My family is from West Africa, immigrated, and you would think, a lot of people think when you're from the motherland, it's like a whole bunch of black pride, but no. They were immigrants, they were Catholic. The whole idea was to assimilate, to fly under the radar, to assimilate. And there's so much hatred, so much self-hatred. Like, I couldn't explain it, but my mother bleaches her skin. I was taught to bleach my skin from like 10, just giving me this cream, and I saw it, and I started to see what it was doing. I was like, I don't want this. It's not what I want. But it was just pervasive, know. So being able to call him a beautiful black boy and, tell him stories about great black people, those in the community and those, held to esteem nationally, whatever, and letting him know, like, to love himself, because he is in white spaces. He's in a lot more white spaces than I was, and I think it's a fear of mine that he would come to hate himself, and I'm like, no, you have to love the texture of your hair. You have to love your skin. It's who you are, and I want to wear that proudly so he doesn't feel like he has to follow in my footsteps to shun it. So that's how I do it personally. A lot of it is pouring into him, letting him know about his history, coming from his father's Haitian, one of the first free nations of black people, the great empires of West Ghana. Letting him know that history, it's beyond enslavement, it's way past that. But then, I do it in my job. I predominantly serve clients of color, well, black clients, really. Let me say it at that. Black men, black women, black queer people. And I prioritize doing therapy with them first. And a part of their healing is learning, to embrace their black pride and seeing. I think, like you said, there's difference in doing therapy with a white therapist and a black therapist who knows what it's like when you go back home. That we can't take some of the things we said in this session back home because it's not going to fit that way.
Exactly.
It's not going that might happen at your house, but it's not going to happen at my house.
Right. That will show up next time to the session with a black eye. What you going to say then?
It doesn't translate in the same way. So being able to help them navigate their families and the anti-blackness and the fat phobia in their families. that's how I bring it, professionally outside of the work, as well as surrounding myself and forever learning, Black Pride, the same thing I'm trying to teach my son, the same thing I'm learning now at 30, we'll be learning at 40, we'll be learning at 50, because there's so much that we don't know. There's so much that's buried. So as I uncover it, I'm trying to share it with as many people as I can, because that's a part of the agenda, is to bury it and to help us continue to try to align with white supremacy.
Yes. Yeah, I love how you said pour into him things that you didn't have, because at 50, I feel like I'm still pouring into myself.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am still relearning my Blackness and how to not only love my Blackness, but to elevate it into another level to where it just shines. Mm-hmm. When I see Blackness on a daily in California, in Oakland, and in San Francisco, and there's not a shine to it, because you've been told to shrink yourself, be small, and not be the person you are truly meant to be. Mm-hmm. So just moving in that way of reliving, relearning, reteaching, I feel that that's what I bring also to the spaces that I work in research. Mm-hmm. When I do couples counseling, mm-hmm. when I do one-on-one counseling, I'm not a therapist, so I don't have to pretend with you. I can really have real conversations with you, because I want to be someone to not only you look up to, but someone you can surpass. Mm-hmm. Don't look up to me and think that I'm the stop point. No. Surpass me. Ask me what to do to get to the next level, because I want to see people propel. Mm-hmm. Because when you see people leave the space and go on to do great things, you feel a sense of, oh, I'm doing those great things with you. Mm-hmm. Because I've gave you some of the tools that I've learned, and I've seen you master those tools, and you've become to be greater with those tools. And I see you doing some of the things to give back to other people. I think that's what my Black Pride comes from, is not leaving someone else behind, bringing everyone into the space and giving them everything that they need to be successful, and to share it. As Black people, we don't like to share. Girl, where you get those dreams from? Oh,
someone gave it to me. Yeah. I don't really remember.
Exactly. I share everything with everyone, because I want everyone to shine. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I celebrate my Black joy and my Blackness.
And you've actually hit the nail on the head, because it's something about when one of us wins, we all win. Yes. When one of us wins, we all win. So it's like, I'm always happy to see someone win. It doesn't have to be my personal win, but your win reflects on me, mm-hmm. generations past and generations to come. Yes. And I think we're a group of people that that's put on our shoulders. Like, we have to win for everybody. We can't win just for ourselves. Right. No. Our win cannot just be ours. We know that it's shared amongst the rest of us. Right. And I think people should also say that. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes people win and be like, oh, I don't know y'all motherfuckers no more because I'm winning. Mm-hmm. And then they move into a different space. No, I'm winning. So here's the tools for you to win too. Mm-hmm. Come on, let's win together. Because like I said to earlier, I love when so many melanated people are in the space and they take up space and take over the room in spaces that we have been locked out of for so long. So I love that. This trip has been Black joy to me. Yeah. We've been the only Black folks here turning it up. And even some of the older Black people that are here, they turn their nose up at it. But I was like, but you feel it. Mm-hmm. You feel our joy. Mm-hmm. You feel our love. And you can't stand that. And that's cool with me. But I just want you to feel it. I think a part of it is just jealousy, not being able to have it for themselves. So I want them to feel it. Yeah. Feel all this joy. I'll be joyful for you too. Exactly.
Let's talk about sisterhood. For women, the need and desire to nurture each other is not pathological, but redemptive. And it's within that knowledge that our real power is discovered. Audre Lorde.
Well, sisterhood saved my life. I say that I would not be the woman I am without my sisters. When my family left me down and out, my friends made sure that I was able to still get an education and raise my son and graduate high school and go to college. They made sure that times when I didn't have childcare, they'll take out of their job so I can go to my job. Like, my girls are the reason I'm the woman I am today, and I tell them that all the time. Like, without them, I wouldn't have gotten here. I wouldn't be the woman that I am. So I love them, and I felt nothing but that from other sisters that I've met. I don't know if I'm lucky to just gravitate towards certain people because you hear the myths about cattiness and this and that, but I haven't encountered that in the sisters that I've met. And then learning and opening my circle to trans women, that's helped me with personal growth. Watching people live their truth and be who they are, regardless of what the world said, has helped me battle so many of the things I've had to overcome it within myself. Different struggles, but it's the same kind of growth. And it's like watching people just live authentically gave me the bravery to do it as well. Like, again, the woman I am is because of sisterhood.
The world loves to highlight our differences. But I have to say, I have had cis women friends since elementary school that we are still good friends. We still go on trips together. We still spend time together. If there's a problem, I can call my girlfriend and she was like, oh, let me do some research on it. I'll get back to you. So my relationship with cis women I have to say, has also just saved my life. When I was having traumatic issues and abuse at home, I could always run to their house. And I could be at their house all day, all night. Their mothers, their fathers wouldn't think nothing of it. I hated my home life. And they would welcome me with open arms. So I love being in this place with other Black women because I learn different things about my Black womanhood in those spaces. I feel like we are always constantly learning, and I feel like as trans women, just hanging out with trans women, we're missing something. We're missing a piece of our womanhood that we can only get from cis women. So I need to be in those spaces. I need to learn from cis women, smart, Black, funny, educated, worldly, fashionable, everything. I need that. Not only from trans women, but I need that from cis women too. We are all going to come together and highlight our things that are similar. We have to highlight our similarities in a world that says, no, stay apart from each other. Don't come together because I could do more damage to you when you're apart. You're greater when you come together, so don't come together. But we are overcoming that. We are breaking down those barriers. And I love that. And I need that.
It's so interesting to hear you say that there's a piece of learning about womanhood that you need from cis women, because I feel the same for cis women. There's a piece about learning from womenhood that you need from trans women. Like, there's so much ingrained misogyny. There's so much ingrained of what a woman should be that we buy on and we build on. And you see, womanhood doesn't have to look like that.
No.
You know, it doesn't have to be that. Because we as cis women can't even achieve that.
Because it's fake. It's false.
It doesn't even exist.
We've been taught a fairy tale that we try to live up to that is not real. But I also love coming in spaces with Black women because you get to see a different fairy tale, a realistic fairy tale, a fairy tale with a happy ending that doesn't necessarily need a man, that doesn't necessarily have to have this giant family. You get to relive a different narrative that is sickening to me.
Or giant biological family, because it's family. You
Yes,
know, when
say
you
that.
take on, if I take on nephews, if I take on, other people as younger sisters or whatever it is, those connections are familial.
Yes, and as trans women, we've had to do that all our lives. We've had to leave the house and create family outside of our bloodline, which has sometimes, oh, don't let my mom and daddy see this, but which has sometimes been more supportive to me than my blood family. I talk to my I like to call them my adopted family, not my chosen family, because I don't feel like we've been chosen. I think that we've just meshed together and adopted in this seamless way that have helped me through so many situations to where I wouldn't be here without them. I know that our rights as trans women are always up for grabs. Somewhere, somebody, they're always coming for us because they feel like we're easy targets. But I knew that once they were talking about overturning Roe versus Wade, I knew that once y'all because it was really about white women, let's be really clear. But I knew that once you let white men take the rights away from white women, everything was going to be on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So when that actually happened, I knew that there were going to be consequences, not only for white women, but also for Black women, for Latino women, for trans women, and for trans people and non-binary folks, because then the target is much wider, and I can cast a wider net to catch everyone.
Well, you're right. Our rights are intertwined. They're one and the same. And the moment you're able to snip one cord, you're able to snip another and another and another.
Yeah.
And, you know, in researching and finding out that the force against taking away trans rights and attacking queer rights is the same force, it's the same money, it's the same line, it's the same power that went to Roe versus Wade.
Yes.
It's like, that's the agenda. Like, they on the surface like to posit it as, oh, that over there and that over there. But the force behind it is coming for us all.
Right.
It's to eradicate us all. So we have to fight together. You know, when we come together instead of our little bubbles for trans rights and queer rights and cis women's rights, when we come together, we have more of a chance because they're together.
Yes.
The people attacking, they're together. They're meeting together. They got the same funding sources. They together.
People will come together. They will hate each other, but they will come together to stand against you.
Yes.
And then they'll go back to hating each other.
So we gotta come together to fight against them to have a chance, because
Yes.
we can't douse the flames in these little pockets.
Yes.
They have such an overwhelming power. A financial source. We can't do it in our little pockets. We gotta come together, because once they take your rights, they're coming for mine next.
Exactly.
I could be, you know, trans hating and queer hating, like, yeah, they don't need that PrEP, until I realize I need this medication by a chemical name.
Yes.
And my insurance won't give it to me because I was so busy hating you. And I'm like, oh shit, look what I done did to me now. I didn't know that was the same. I didn't, you know, they didn't tell me I need PrEP. They told me I need sodium whatever.
Exactly.
And now look at me, stuck.
That is crazy. I've never looked at it like that. Thank you for sharing that with me. See, that's why we need these spaces, so we can learn from each other like this. I love that. Thank you.
What do you think about love? There is always something left to love. And if you ain't learned that, you ain't learned nothing. Lorraine Hansberry.
Growing up, I looked at love from outward sources. I always looked for love and affirmation from a man. I looked for love and affirmation in things, in places, and that it was unfulfilling. It was like someone would just blow air in the cracks and it would swell for a minute and then it would just deflate again. And I think that that's what led me to prostitution. I think that's what led me to drugs. I think that's what led me to a life of depression, because no one taught me how to love myself and accept love and what real love, and people don't. Love has a different definition when you talk about it from different people. So I have had these romantic experiences with men, which I thought was love, but love really didn't happen for me until I truly learned to love myself. So these days, I don't look outward for love. I feel like that would be extra. And the extra is great. I'm a Libra. I'm a natural flirt. So extra is great. I'm always get the little extra bits and pieces. But the real love is me learning how to love myself, how to treat myself better, how to look at myself in a different way, how I feel about myself, and how I take care of myself, how I pamper myself. I was prepared. I met up with a girlfriend before this trip, and she was like, "Bree, you are so happy these days." And I was like, "It's really sad, but it's really great and amazing that at 50, this is the happiest I've ever been in my life." without a man, without someone else in my life, without something being in my life, me taking care of someone's kids in my life. This level of love in my life is just not in my life, but it's in my workplace. It's in my home. It's in the way that I talk to other people. It's in the way that I move through life and through spaces and time. This is the happiest. And I'm just so happy.
I'm happy you can experience this.
I needed to experience this because I was told I could not have love. I was told that I could not have access to these spaces and these people and these places. There was a curse I feel like put upon me, and I had to break those curses and those chains to find my happiness. And I have found my happiness. And I just love that it can only get better from here. Okay, shit.
I mean, you're exactly right. Coming to a place of self-love is the way that I've been able to find the ultimate Black love, and to be able to spread that everywhere I am. In the workplace, I'm now in a place of power to love on the other Black folks that I have on my staff. And it's, you don't see that as a Black woman in the workplace. You do not get love. You do not get care. Love to me is putting all that I can to make sure that you reach the highest points physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, in whatever way that I can empower and help you grow. That's love. And to be able, once you're able to do it for yourself, the overfill just goes to everyone else. Yes. And, even in thinking about that, the question that's, I was like, how have I felt love lately? Because I have not been in tune with myself lately. I have not been loving on myself lately. And I feel stress. I feel that depression. I feel that labor on my spirit, and again, it was not until I can come around others who are flowing with their own self-love that I feel like, I feel good again. So I gotta take this back home and remember to love myself so that I can continue to love the other people in my life.
Yes, you are the only self you have. And I had to sit in a mirror. I know this is so cliche, but I really had to sit in a mirror with nothing on. Because at one point in time, all my hair fell out. So I was completely bald. And I was like, okay, well, let me get to the assortment of wigs. And so I'm not just going to go outside like this. So I had to sit in the mirror. And I was like, okay, Lord, this has happened to me. You must have let me go through this because you knew that I could. And so I got dressed one morning and I walked out the house completely bald, which was odd for me because I was always the girl with the 28 inches of hair and a full face of makeup. And so I went out with no makeup on, completely bald, and still got my life because I was life. And I have to remember that I am life. Nothing in this world can give me life. I am already life. I'm here to give others life.
And that reminds me, I remember getting ready for this trip. Again, so stressed that I couldn't get a haircut, couldn't get my eyes waxed, couldn't shave my legs. And I was like, but I'm coming as me, And I'm going to be here as me, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be loved on as me, Sure, I would love those things, but that doesn't take away from the fact that I'm here and I can still be present, because it doesn't matter what my hair look like. It don't matter if I don't pencil my eyebrows. It don't matter if I shave my legs today or tomorrow.
Yes.
Who I am on the inside is not the outside. I love me for me, and that's going to shine across to everyone that I grace.
I'm glad that you brought you here. It has been nothing but joy since meeting you.
Thank you.
Definitely. I have to say that I also find Black love in my parents now. Since they've gotten older, they have become completely different people. And not only as my parents, but I love the people that they've become. I love the relationship that they have. And the thing that I see that I love the most is that maybe I can have that too. Or maybe I already have that. It's just with me, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, I love that. I love to see love. I love to feel love. I love to give love. And I have learned to also accept love, which was difficult.
It is. And you're right. I found love with my mother. I never thought we'd get to a place where we're friends.
Me either.
And she called me, and we just chat. I'm like, girl, what's going on with you?
Right.
You ain't retired yet? I never thought I'd see that. But
My mother
being
does the
able to
same
love
thing.
myself allowed me to forgive her and love her for who
Say
she
that.
is. Surely I thought I'd get older and just forsake and just run.
Right.
Run.
Me too. I thought I would continue to run.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember my mother told me she doesn't have a lot of girlfriends anymore because she moved further out.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't want to come that far out. And then they just stopped talking on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So then that just made me be like, every time she called, be like, hey girl, and we would stay on the phone for hours. I remember I would get a whooping for staying on the phone for hours talking to her like that. But I love the woman that she is. I wish she wasn't so hard on herself because of these patriarchal values that have been instilled in her. But I love her resilience and her greatness. I love that lady. And she mine.
She's mine. She's mine.
She mine. That's mine, and I'm going to stand with it.
Stand by her.
This series was brought to you by Marsha's Plate Podcast, Black Trans Women's Inc., the Transgender District, the Women's Foundation, and Alaska Airlines. Thank you for watching.